Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Back again to Derail Valley. In the mode of, if I'm playing it, I'm going to stream it, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, so last time we left off, I had to leave kind of abruptly because my neighbor called me up, but we did finish doing all the switching, I do believe. Also, I do believe we were going to buy the DM3. Where did I leave the DE2? Alright, I didn't quite pick out my load yet. Get that ready, I don't think. Oh, there's the DE2. Alright, let's do that, and then we'll put the DE2 away, pay our $100 fee, and unlock the DM3. So what load will be taken? Probably that for the first load. It's easy, it's only 11,000, but I don't really want to try to go to the harbor yet. The other option is to... we have enough to buy long one. But not long one, and... actually, isn't long one only 10,000? The M3 is 30. Train length 1 is 10. So for 40, I can get the DM3 and long 1. And the DM3 could easily do these two shunting jobs. Oh, they're both loading. Well, I think the only empties that I parked already were those 3 hoppers, so I don't think I really buried anything. This one shunting job is worth 20,000 on its own. Oh wow, okay. 67. Yeah, those cars are buried all over the place. I should have gotten them together when I was getting everything else together because I knew I was going to do this probably. Oh well. This one, the whole string is on one spot, 69. It's still worth 8,000. That almost pays off the long one. The only thing is, if I get long one, that brings my copay up from $100 to $2,000. And gets rid of the free re-railing, but you know, I'm probably never gonna re-rail anyway, right? Right, chat? I'm never gonna re-rail. I'm never gonna derail, I mean. I think I'm gonna do it because it's gonna pay itself off before I even leave the steel mill. That is too damn loud. Oh god, volume leveling. What is volume leveling? 1. Where's the other option? Is just freaking skip that song. I'm live right now. Let's see. I could. Or I could not get train length 1 to keep my cheap $100 copay. But that's really gonna limit me with what I can take. You know, I think I will do that. As tempting as it is to get long 1 and start down that route, if I keep my copay super cheap, I can run up to like one of the forest's yards or something, and I don't have to worry about, like if I find the 060 shunter, I don't have to worry about not being able to service it. Although they do have water there now. Everywhere has water now. It's just coal that you can only get in certain places. Screw it, I think I am going to get that long one. So if I don't get the long one, the only thing we're going to take out of here is this machine factory for 9,000. That's the long one. Not that the D2 can do. Well, there's a DM3 here. That's that I could take for 10,000 to harbor. Problem with that, although it's only 3 cars, so I really actually that's not a bad idea. I could run up there and stop before the switches to turn the switches, and I'll be able to start on the hill okay because it's only 3 cars. Or another thing I could do is I could just buy the DM3, or not even buy the DM3, just with the DM2. Run up this way, throw this switch. All of these switches between Steel Mill and Harbor, for some reason, are all switched the wrong way. I don't know why. That's just the way it always starts when you start a fresh game. So I could just run light with just the engine, no job at all, no train cars, and just run up here, turn this switch, and turn this switch, and then come back and see if there's a new job or whatever. Well, it would reset everything. And then we could spend another 3 hours just switching out steel mill. No, I better not do that. Too long one or not long? That's the question. I think maybe I won't, because, yeah. I can get the DM3 right here. And then I'll still have some more money, and, I'm even tempted to not even take a job out of here. Buy the DM3 and run straight up to Forest Central. I usually never do that because technically the forest jobs in the sawmill is not worth crap, which is really sucks because you would think with how heavy logs it is how hard it is to run up and down these hills, they would be worth a bit more, but they're really not. And I can understand why they're not, because in real life with railroading, logging is not really worth it. That's why most logging railroads are long gone. But I think I'll do that because it'll be something different. You know, I am streaming, so it'd be a nice little something different to see. So I'm not gonna take anything out of here then. Okay, I'm just gonna park the D2, pay my $100, buy my DM3 license, and get out of here. Bold strategy, but it should work. It's gonna make things even a little bit more slower and boring, but it's in the title of my stream, I think. I said somewhere that it was slow and boring. I don't remember where I said it was slow and boring. Started a little bit earlier today, 1:45. Oh, that's the wrong lever. There we go. I almost wanted to stop and turn the switch and park in the shop, but it doesn't matter because I can't manually service anyway. Better still be there at DM3, yeah, I'm just gonna park this on the other stub with the other D2. Now we're gonna keep it Western Pacific. Western Pacific one does look nice, but I have my own skins. Even in this super realistic difficulty setting that I'm running, we can still use the mouse mode. It's very handy. Something like this. wait, I can do that. Well, no, actually, because oh, interesting. Whatever. Oh, come on, get on there. Starting off. No, I went that way. It doesn't matter. Just parking it to get rid of it anyway. I think I'm going to set the music volume to 2 and then skip anything that's too loud. Seems a little loud to me, but I think on stream it's not that bad. I might have to turn it down if I need to hear things better, but I think I should be fine. I'd like to, as soon as possible, buy the boombox, and then we won't use the media player anymore, we'll just use the boombox. Although we are going to be limited in the music we can listen to that way. I did set my cassettes back up. I don't know why I'm bothering to tie everything in, but I am. Park these up nose to nose, which is silly, but yeah. I'm just getting rid of the engine. Okay, we're clear. I thought I was going to have to shove it back, but I didn't. Now, when you push this turntable by hand, one little problem with being on auto run all the time, or whatever you want to call it, push to walk basically, is when you push this turntable when you're running, it doesn't work too good. Well, actually, this time it actually is. What I was gonna say is I normally have to press the run button to force myself to walk when I push this, because otherwise you just kind of keep running off of the edge of the handle. But maybe they fixed that recently, because I just did that and run and it was fine. Interesting. Feather River Rail. Not Union Pacific. Got Union Pacific on the mind. Western Pacific, that's nice. I would have really moved at least the Western Pacific riding up above the fins, at least. But it's still pretty good. And then those goddamn hinges. If you don't use Blender, you're not going to be able to paint those. It's really annoying. As nice as that is, and it does look really nice, I'm probably going to be driving this thing for a very long time, so I'm going to set it to O&W, because that's kind of my thing. It's on my banner and everything. Great. There we go, the 113. Alright, now I need to pay off my fees and buy the DM3. And now, leave here, we want to go backwards out of here. Yeah, the handcart's going to be pretty high on the list of things I want to get early on. Normally you wouldn't really care about the handcart too much, but when you can't teleport, or dash, whatever you want to call it, it comes in handy. $100. This is great. This is actually a lot of luck that we are starting the game here. Come on, confirm. Why do I have such a hard time pressing buttons? We are getting a DM3 right off the scratch here in Steel Mill. That does not always happen. Kinda almost wish it was the 060, then we would start pretty much immediately with Steam. But the DM3 is fun too. And it makes a little bit more sense with the natural progression of things, I think. I don't throw these licenses out, I keep them. And then when I get the caboose, I put them all in the caboose. Weird like that, I guess. Okay. I think we're ready to go then. This is a little weird not bringing any kind of freight haul out of Steel Mill here, but usually I always start off by doing that. Oh, you know what though? There's one thing. I really need to stop at a shop somewhere. I think I will have to do a freight haul first then. Damn. I need a lantern. I need a lantern and a lighter at the very least to deal with darkness. Because I'm not always going to be able to time it just right where I'm in a yard and able to sleep when it gets dark. So yeah, I'm going to need a job out of here. I need to go somewhere that has a shop, probably goods factory. I don't want to have to go all the way down to harbor and then have to come all the way back. So let's go to goods factory. Then maybe from goods factory we can get figure something out. Oil well is what's near goods factory. That's useless for us until we get hazmat. It's also a machine factory. Then I could run up to iron mine and maybe even get the 060 there. You know what? Let's do that machine factory. There's more chance, I guess. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about getting long one again. Because, yeah, this pays out 20,000 and long one is only 10. And I think the DM3 can do that. It's going to be a little tough getting up the hill into machine factory, but it won't be too bad. Or I could do that for 17,000 and it's lighter. 343. Make life a little easier. I think we'll take this one. 6. Okay. Okay, FH78. So I want to face. I still want to face that way. South. So I want to back out of here. We gotta actually better figure out which track this is on now. Is this gonna be this one that we moved over? FH78 steel billets. No, that's a mix. Oh, I bet it's up at that end. Okay. That works relatively well. Except I don't want to leave the switch thrown the wrong way. Nope, that's not it, actually. Well, these are billets, aren't they? 78. Oh, we got rails. Damn. Okay. I'll have to creep pretty slow out of here so that I can run to the back and throw the switch back to the main. I don't want to leave these switches turned to the sidings. Because when I come blitzing in here with something fast, if the switches are left to the sidings, I'm going to be screwed. Still a handbrake on this, right? Okay, so we want to back out of there. It's too quiet. I need to spend a probably long period of time going through this playlist and taking out songs that are either too loud or too quiet. I hate to do it, but it's kind of annoying when a song pops up and I either can't hear it or it blares me. I swear that's the hardest part of streaming is getting the sound correct, volume leveling, whatever you want to call it. Okay. See how you can hop up? I was talking about that last time. They give you one step that you can hop up and then hop in. They really need to do that with the 282 steam engine. Cab light, especially. This locomotive's fun. It's a DM3 as in diesel mechanical, which means you have to shift through gears. It's yeah, it's fun. For some reason, there's 2 starter switches. That one automatically turns off. I always turn off this one too. That's why I leave it on. Let's see. So I guess I should probably go through all the controls here. We've got independent brake, train brake, hand brake, which is not on for some reason. That's interesting. This is your reverser, forward, neutral, reverse. That's your actual throttle. And there's your 2 gearboxes, A and B. Now, there is a shift pattern that people have posted pictures of on the Discord, and it works pretty good. Like, this is first, this is second, this is third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then eighth. That's the accepted shift pattern. The thing is, I think the way this is supposed to work is you got 1, 2, 3, and low, medium, high. So, like, technically, no, I think this is a low, medium, high, and this is 1, 2, 3. So technically, you would keep this one down and go 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't really work that way. So, not sure. Actually, that is considered 2, but for some reason, this is considered 3. I don't know if that's just because they're skipping this and going, I don't know. But if you're not loaded up, you can skip gears pretty easily. That's the other thing. So that's fourth, that's third. If I don't have anything to pull, I always start in third gear because it's easy. Doesn't hurt anything. Oh, and lights. Lights 1 is just like the running lights. Oh, start move. Lights 1 is just the running lights. Lights 2 would be headlights too, I think. Oh no, lights 1, yeah, lights 1 and front and rear. Yeah. Okay, so those I only flip on when it gets dark, and these tell you if you're putting the lights on in the front or the back. So, and for some reason down is on. So in order to have the headlight on, you need it switched. The front needs to be down. I don't know why it's backwards. Any kind of toggle or light switch I've ever seen, up is on, down is off, but you know, whatever. It's backwards. Just gotta live with it. Okay, so yeah, see now we got just our running lights forward. Yep. Okay, we need to come out of here. Reverse. See, that's the reverse light, the red light. Just tail marker, basically. So now we just... yeah. Very important to not let it stay at 100 or any higher with the revs, because you will damage the engine pretty quickly. See, I just skipped up to 6th gear there because you're not hauling any weight, so the gears aren't too big of a deal. When you start pulling more weight, then it's more important to get your gears correct. So we're heading out of here from track 1, right? Sure. Also, it's not raining. If the rails were wet, I'd have a better chance of slipping. Although the higher gear you're in, the less chance you're going to slip the wheels. Just like in trucking, if you've ever seen any videos of a big rig that's stuck with the wheels spinning, the driver will put it in like 5th gear or something so that they don't spin as fast. They have better chance to actually grip or move. Same kind of thing with this. If it's raining, start in a higher gear. It's harder to get going, but you won't slip as easily. If you try to start in like 1st in the rain, you're just going to slip the wheels pretty easily. I mean, there is a sander, of course, but the less sand you have to use, the better. Where my switch is like, I gotta turn a switch up there. Yeah, this engine is very easy to hop in and out of, which is very nice. Just leave the doors open because until I'm done switching, I gotta leave the doors open. Toot! There it goes. No, that's 6. That's a little too much. 5th. I can walk faster than that thing's rolling. Go up to the other end and back into one. Now, one little gripe I have with this locomotive is this is what it looks like when you're standing in the locomotive. Your head is just a little too high. This is what it looks like when you're sitting. Your head is just a little too low. You get used to it, but I don't know. It is better visibility all around if you just look back. But it's 8th, whatever. No weight behind us, so we can do that. If we had any weight behind us, you can't do that. So I'm going back and forth between sitting and standing a lot more often with this locomotive. Because I don't want to always be standing kind of looking down like this a little bit. I like to sit in the locomotives usually, but you can see a little bit better if you're standing. don't touch the reverser. The reverser here, do not touch at all unless the wheels are completely stopped, or else you're gonna, if you're only rolling a little bit, all you're gonna do is stall the engine. But if you're rolling more than a little bit, you're gonna wreck the transmission. So don't do that. I learned that the hard way. And it's so easy to do that too because you're used to running the DE2, and the DE2 you can just throw the reverser and it's no big deal. But yeah, can't really do that in a mechanical. Wait a minute, which one do I want? Oh no, it's not all the way down there. Right, it's just one track over. I'm gonna preset this to 3. And when we leave, I'm gonna try to set this back towards 3, but then the main line set to the main line, if that makes any sense. So it makes sense in my head, okay. Okay, so we're going in here. Basically, I want these switches set to the main, but if you throw this one switch, you'll be able to go into 3i, because 3i is where it's the input track, and that's where you're always going to be coming in with any kind of load. I always have to think about this because these switches are backwards. It drives me nuts. And I'll get the door out of the way once we're rolling and not just switching. If that makes any sense. Yeah, this song I can't even hear. Maybe you guys can hear it. Oops, I did not mean to drop that bar, but I didn't have the throttle on and we're going real slow, so I got away with it. Normally that could be a bit of a problem. You start dropping gear shifts without meaning to. $78. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I gotta take out the handbrake anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, there's no handbrake I have to take off because I already took it off when I brought that in. I took off the handbrake on that end and set 2 on that end instead to make it easier. So, okay, keep that in ready mode so that. Yep, no handbrakes. Okay, cool. All right, start the job. Now, the only switches we're going to have to worry about between here and Machine Factory, one of the switches for going around that tight bend at City Southwest is going to be wrong, most likely. But you got to go real slow there anyway, so it's not that big a deal. Just kind of sucks because it slows you way down and then you got to start climbing that hill. Well, not right away. You got a bit of a speedway first. Really? Oh, this is train length 1. Oh, I'm a dumbass. Oh, now I gotta pay another $100. Right. Okay, pay another $100. The DM3 is definitely a bit more costly to run. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but I had like 900 something dollars of servicing to do on the DM3, and all we did was get it out of the yard and hook up to the train we're gonna pull. So, and I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong with the gears. At first, I thought that I was kind of screwing up the gears a lot, but I really wasn't. It's just the DM3 just costs a bit more to run. Where is Longhorn? It's further down. Okay, that's why I didn't see it yet, because I didn't get there yet. Alright. This is okay. Yeah, the copay is going to go up to $2,000, but it's okay. It wasn't okay before they added the little water towers. Oh, that they did add the water towers everywhere. It should be okay. Because you don't need coal too often. So you're not too crazy with it. Okay. I should have gotten that when I got DM3, but I didn't. Okay, machine factory. C3I. Yeah, this is where the hand cart would be very helpful. I just stick it on the main line and just zip my way back up to the front. And when you pay off the fees on something, it automatically shuts off the engine and puts the handbrake on and yada yada. Puts it neutral. That's the one thing I really always forget, that it has to be in gear. So I rev up the engine in neutral, then I gotta drop the throttle and wait for the RPMs to come back down before I can put it forward. It's a little annoying, but it's not too bad. But I remembered this time. Still get the lights the right way. Okay. I'm gonna start in, yeah, second, I think. Well, actually, I better start in first. This is pretty heavy. Gonna skip third. This third is annoying. Yeah, we're okay. I didn't throw the switch to go down there, did I? Nope. I'm paranoid about the train running away from me. Blow the air up here. Let's clear the switch. So I want to run back and throw this switch back. future-proof things a little bit. Right. And that is just what you have to do when you can't do remote switching. You know, a real railroad, well, a real short line railroad. A railroad this big would probably have a dispatcher that turns the switches for you, I would think. But, whatever. Now I think I want 3. Although we are going downhill, so. Wait a minute, isn't that 2? Well, that's 2, and we're struggling a little bit. So we're not on the downhill yet. So I didn't hear any brakes, so we don't have any hand brakes on or anything. That's good. That's 3. I think. Yeah, I didn't need 3 at all that time. Now we're on the hill. Yeah. Okay, that's 6. I skipped 5th, and I think since we're going downhill, it's fine. You do have to watch the oil temperature, too, by the way. Oh, we need 7th. There we go. I don't have to worry about any switches here, I'm pretty darn sure. So this locomotive has a good amount of grunt. It's really good for switching heavy stuff and whatnot. But it doesn't have much top speed, which is it's what you would expect from a locomotive like this. It's a switcher. It's not supposed to have a lot of top speed. But I think it caps out around 60, 65, so actually the D2, if it's not loaded up too much, is actually faster. Because the problem with this is you can't let the revs stay at 100. You'll blow the engine. You have to keep the revs at least a little bit under 100. So, yeah, you can see I'm already in 8th gear and we're only doing 60. Not even 60, no, doing 50. Okay, that switch is fine. I'm sure none of these. The game isn't terrible enough in the beginning to like throw switches to the sidings. So like I don't really have to worry about making sure these are okay. Yeah, they're fine. It's just D2 right now. Oh wow, there actually wasn't anything parked on that crossing this time. Usually there always is. Good. It's nice to get on the road finally. The whole first stream was just switching out the steel mill, which I kind of figured it would be actually. Damn, we're at 48 minutes. Been streaming for 48 minutes already. I didn't even do that much. These better be all good, yeah, because this is the oil well. Oh, it's so hard to shoot this horn. I gotta learn to use the mouse mode more. See, we're almost at 100 RPM. That limits how fast we're gonna be able to go. So if we had more gears, we could go into a higher gear and keep throttling it up and going faster, but we're out of gears. So that's about as fast as we can go. as you're going downhill. That's a DH4. I have not tried the DH4 at all yet. I don't know why. I guess in my mind I kind of classify it just like the DE6, and I never really used the DE6 either. I don't know, I like the steam engine too much, I guess. The DH4 I think is pretty nice though. I need to stop hopping up and down. You can see. It's just like this, it's hard to see the speed limit signs. Sitting needs to be just a tiny bit higher. Maybe they'll change that eventually. That's good. Also in this, because it's a diesel mechanical, if you drop the throttle completely, just the gearbox alone, I need to start slowing down. But just the gearbox alone will start slowing you down very, very little. But it's almost like it always has a little bit of engine braking, even if you don't turn on the engine brake. Yeah, 3. That's what I thought. Still in 8th gear, of course. And you have to be very careful not to downshift too much. Because you will blow the transmission. Because if you downshift too much, the revs are going to be way too high. And yeah, they'll blow the transmission. So yeah, if you want to just keep running down the road at max speed, you got to have at least just a little bit of throttle ticked on. Unlike the diesel electrics, where you once you get up to speed, you can completely drop the throttle. Also, I was not looking at the switch signs for that. I knew that 3 was coming up, so I just set up for it early and stuff. But I guess there was a chance. That's 7th. 6th. There was a chance one of those switches could have been wrong. Well, just the first one. Then I would start heading down towards the logging camp and been a little angry. But the game's usually not that mean. The only place where the game really, in the beginning, really specifically sets all of the switches wrong, it's between Steel Mill and Harbor. Those, every single switch is wrong down that stretch. It's just like, haha, we got him. I think the only switch that's not set wrong at the beginning is Nuke Killer Curve. I like to call it that curve, that Y that branches off just before you get down to the harbor, and the main line makes that tight turn to the left through the tunnel. That switch is always correct, I think. And that's because they want you to derail on that friggin' curve. I mean, the game is called Derail Valley, so, you know. Okay, we're coming up on City Southwest. We're gonna have to go slow because I'm sure one of these switches is gonna be wrong. Gonna blow for the crossing super early because I need to be able to ready stop. Yeah, that one's wrong. Okay. First switch is good, but the second one was wrong. That wasn't the safest way to cross the gauge, but you know, whatever. And I went out one door, now I'm trying to go in the other one. But fifth. Yeah. You can hear that like lower whining noise. I am working it a little hard. I probably should have gone down to fourth, but I'll muscle through it. This thing's pretty tough. That really just means that it's working harder at the end of the day. Yeah. Come on. Is she gonna take 6, you think? Wow. It's not much of a hill here. I'm surprised we're having such a hard time accelerating right now. Pretty soon there's going to be a hill, but right now I don't think there is much. Well, now watch the oil temperature. If you're making it work hard, the oil temperature goes up more. And as customary, whenever Red Bear streams, yawning all over the place, I did sleep, but it wasn't the best sleep. I kind of laid down a couple different times during the night, couldn't sleep, and then watched something for a while, and then I finally slept, so. I woke up like, what, 2 hours ago, I want to say. It's the 7th. Oil temp's fine, we can really open her up. I think the best way to get the most pulling power out of this thing is to have the revs like just under the 100 mark. So like if I was heavier, maybe more uphill, even though I'd be almost at 100, I would just drop the throttle a little bit as opposed to trying to upshift to 8th. But I think in this situation, I think I can get away with going up to 8th. We'll see. We're about to go uphill though, aren't we? If this doesn't work, I'll just have to go back down 7th. Now, to go down to 7th, I dropped the first lever. That's the one thing that I'm pretty good at upshifting, but downshifting can be a little tricky, and especially when we're in 8th and I want to drop to 7th, I gotta remember to drop the first bar. If you drop the second one, you'll drop from 8th to 6th, which can be bad. Yeah, we're not making it 8th. We are going uphill. So this thing has a lot of good torque and grunt in the lower gears. But of course, if you're in the lower gears, you're not going to move so fast. So this thing's not fast, but it's not going to get stuck nearly as easily as the other locomotives. Like you can just put it in like first or second gear and just crawl your way up that hill. It's going to suck going super slow, but you're not going to get stuck, usually. Well, I mean, if it's too much weight, it's too much weight, but you can get away with a lot more because of the way the gearing works. Okay, we are still losing a lot, so let's go for 6. Probably 4th. Yeah, let's just go for 4th, I think. Actually, I wouldn't drop 2 gears at the time, but just about stopped anyway, so. Switch is good. Oh, I didn't realize the hill before the switch was this bad. But it is. I know the hill, like, right before you get into Machine Factory is really bad. Okay, we're going second, I guess. Now we gotta really watch the oil temp. See what I mean? Where you can drop gears and you can just keep moving. It ain't gonna be fast, but you'll move. This is like damn near 400 tons, right? Yeah, 343. Yeah, that's decently heavy. The D2 would not make it up this hill, pretty sure. Unless you got really lucky, really got a good run up. I don't think it would, though. Before Simulator, I think maybe you would be able to push the D2 enough to get up this hill with this weight, but not now. I don't want to try to go up the fourth. It's not going to take it. Once we get past the switch and the hill levels out. And maybe it is going to take it. Yeah. Guess we're past the hill. Past that part of the hill anyway. The hill is in 2 stages, I guess. Oh. Okay. Alright, you want 6? We'll go to 6. Damn. This is the hill again. Actually, there's kind of 3 stages to this hill. There's the hill before the first switch, the hill before the second switch, the hill before Machine Factory. Although I don't know if you really get a break for the hill between here and Machine Factory. There goes my temp. Third. Crap, third. That's second. I knew I was gonna screw that up. Oh, it's the switch, okay. Not there yet, but it's gonna crawl our way up the hill. That switch is good. Don't work that mean. Go for third. Yeah, that's pretty steep. We can get the revs up near 100 though. Yeah. think that's what we're gonna have to stick with. Third, high revs to just crawl up the hill. So if I try to go for fourth, I'm just gonna lose all my power, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is pretty steep. Slow going, but it's going. Boy. Am I not sitting? You can't see anything, that's why. Well, we're doing pretty good, actually. Oh, boy, I'm tempted to go for fourth. Let's try it. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was gonna work. Oh, maybe. Maybe I did it earlier, actually. Now the oil temp's going up because we're making it work harder. Because it's not really dangerous with the oil temp until you get like midway down by 105 or whatever that is. But I like to be more safe than that. Okay, this is good. Yeah, we were able to go for fourth. Wow. That's pretty good. Because the worst part of this hill is right before you get into Machine Factory. It gets really steep. I need to put my headlights on all the way. Oh, and here in Machine Factory, the other thing we can buy, besides the regular lantern and the lighter, is there's an endotrain device, a red lantern, basically. For some reason in my regular realistic playthrough, I never got it. And I knew I wanted it too, because what I use that for, end of train, I don't usually use it for that so much, because with the coupler mod, you can't hang the lantern. You can't hang the lantern off of the coupler like you can in vanilla. Fortunately, it's just the downside of the coupler mod for now. But what it will come in good and handy for is switching. Like if I have a set of cars and I have to drop off some cars in one spot, some cars somewhere else, then I can mark off where I want to make the break with the lantern. You can do that with the regular lantern too, but it makes a little bit more sense with the red one. Now I gotta turn that switch anyway. Okay, let's drop to second. Really crawl. Oh. It's so easy to turn one of the levers too much and screw everything up. Known as C3I, I believe. No. Hope that's not revving up too high. I don't think I opened it up that much. Maybe it's not fine. No, it's okay. Second. Please. Yeah, the mouse wheel is a little too sensitive sometimes. My biggest problem is if I go into the wrong gear and screw things up, then I panic and just start turning everything, and that's when I blow the transmission. Okay, drop throttle because we got another switch coming up. Rekindle yield RPG Maker game stuff. Yeah, glad we're here now though, because I'll be able to buy myself a lantern. It's getting dark. 3 is... So yeah, I gotta just keep going. So things still moving. Yeah. As long as it doesn't lose all its momentum and start rolling back on me. That's what I'm a little worried about. But I think we're past the hell enough that it won't do that, but you know. Never know. There's no copyright infringement going on here. Mario Paint Composer. It's fine. Come on. Once again, the door is not open. Love that song. Are some of these numbers still a little wacky? It's just me being bad at numbers. 413. So the upper numbers are pixel lower than. Yeah. I thought I fixed all those issues. I didn't. In case I run around, I'm not sure what end of the yard I'm going to be working yet. For now, I'm going to shut this thing down, I think. Right, engine shut off. The electrics so the batteries don't die on me. I know that's not a thing that can happen. I like to pretend. There we go. Mm-hmm. Okay, turn in the job. Now, because we bought long one, which we already paid off, but because of that, the copay is now $2,000 instead of $100. And let's see. So it's going to cost me $2,000 to clear this, and if I had manual service, it would cost me $2,500. So right now, I don't need manual service yet. It looks like pretty soon I will. Now, as tempting as it is to just go ahead and do the unload job that we just brought in, you always want to do loading first, so you don't bury the empties. Okay, that is hazmat. Yeah, even this one I'm gonna do. 3 pickups, and it's only worth 6,000 because it's stupid empty containers. I hate empty containers. But yeah. Okay, load hoppers? No, gondolas. Sorry, scrap metal. Okay. Time is it? It's getting dark and rainy. Oh, it's almost 10, huh? Okay, good. I think I've wasted enough time that I should be able to sleep through the night. Good. Then we'll go to the shop and buy our lanterns and stuff. Actually, I might have to hold off on that. 454. No, we have 29,000, right? Sometimes it's very hard to see. Yeah, 29,000. Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard to tell what's going on. You know, we invented the thing called a comma. I just want to see. Yes, there's an actual bed up here. I'm gonna be fancy and sleep in a bed instead of couch this time. 6 a.m. That's good enough. So still, that's as good as I can get. By the way, if you go to sleep too soon and it's still dark when you wake up, it's not gonna let you sleep again because you're not tired. Just like American Truck Simulator almost. But in ATS, I think you can sleep like twice, and then you can't sleep anymore because you're not tired. But still, it's a basic idea. Yeah, 6 a.m. Let's see. The sun's coming out. Good. Now, what is my fee tolerance right now? So, the more money you have in your wallet, the higher your fee tolerance is. The fee tolerance is how much in fees you're allowed to have before it tells you, nope, you got to pay off your fees to take a job. 5,900. What do I owe? Close. Fees. 5,100. Okay, I should be able to do like one more shunting job before I have to. Pay the copay service. That's really the way to go, is to get as much done as you can before it forces you to pay that copay. Okay, so the shop is around here, isn't it? The shop is usually by the passenger platforms. So if there's passenger platforms in a place, then the shop's going to be around. I think the exception is City Southwest. It's not by the passenger platforms. It's a blue building with a yellow stripe. Yeah, there it is. Now, what can I buy here specifically? So I have 29,000, so we can do pretty good. Okay. Definitely want the lighter. Shovel, just in case we run into the 060. Yeah, just if we go up to Iron Mine next and find the 060, I want that shovel. Lantern. I want the EOT lantern too. Okay. Could buy a flashlight too, but honestly, I don't really use the flashlight a whole lot. The lantern is usually good enough. The flashlight is good because it's a directed light that goes pretty far, where the lantern just lights up right around you. Most of the time, I can get away with the lantern. That and the flashlight has the whole battery dying mechanic, and then oh Jesus, the whole battery dying mechanic, and then you have to charge it either by having it in the sun, or if you have the caboose, you can put it on the charger. So it's like, okay, the station map and the compass. I never use them because I know the map too well. So that goes in 5. That goes in 2. Where's that gonna go? 7. Yeah, that goes in 6. Okay, hold on. I love how you can lock things in certain slots now. Shovel is always gonna be 5. Lantern's always 2. This needs to be always 6. End of train lantern, yeah. Fortunately, there's a little bit too many goodies nowadays, so what fits. Because there's only keybinds for up to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need. No, wait a minute. 9. No, there's a keybind for this. That. Yeah, there is. Okay, good. That's period. Well, for me. Of course, I always change my keybinds in every game I ever play because I'm left-handed, but yeah, I do have a keybind for this. Okay, good. The only slots that I'm missing out on are these 2. There is a whole thing where you can hold middle click. Oh, maybe I changed that. Tab, and you can hold tab and click on what you want there. I never ever do that. I much would rather just have everything set to a specific number. Okay. So this. All right. Load. Alright, so 90 and 06 are my 2 loads. Oh, well, the gondolas are all together. 3 pickups on those flat cars. Me actually using the correct pathing to walk up and down to get over the fence line because I can't dash. I kind of like that though. Makes you think. All right. All these boxcars. Notice all these boxcars. This must be storage track, right? 90. Yep, 90 and 06. 90, that's the only storage track here, and the other cars are going to be. So I should be working the train from this end. I kind of had a feeling it was going to work out that way. Let me guess. Up at this end is going to be the other one. Oh, these are all 90s. Okay, good. You know what? Let's put this into service. Now, something that people don't get with this lantern that I've noticed from watching people play this anyway, is yes, you can set it down and then you have to turn this little thing to give it some gas, and then you can light it. But also, if you're holding it, you can use the mouse wheel to turn it up and down. So if you just crank it up with the mouse wheel before you set it down to light it, then you don't have to try to fiddle with finding the little thing to turn. That I figured out not too long into playing this, because I was like the first time that I used a lantern and I was like trying to find the stupid little thing to turn, I was like, there's got to be a better way. There is. It's the same way that almost everything has a better way. Mouse wheel. In this game. Okay, so I just figured I'd mark that. I want this, and then those, and then then over at the far end that we can't see because there's too many other cars in the way, it's going to be some number of flat cars that goes with this set and all three gondolas. Okay, that's easy enough. Now I think with the newest little update, they made the cab light not as strong inside the engine, which is good because it was too bright before. And what I did before that update is I used to always have the lantern in here lit up and then not use the cab light. But now I think the cab light's fine. Yeah, the cab light works out pretty good. Maybe at nighttime, I think, I turn off the cab light and instead put the lantern here. Still. Because if it's too bright in here, then you can't see as good out in the dark. It's kind of the thing. Also, neat little thing. Most of the locomotives now have these little pockets. What that's really good for is, like, I've got loading job, unloading job, and if you add more unloading jobs too. Ones you're not going to do right away, stick them in the pocket. Okay. Center has one too, but you have to like crouch and fiddle around to get to it. But, I did not even look in the roundhouse to see what's there yet, but the 060 usually only spawns in smaller areas like the iron mine and farm, logging camps, that kind of stuff. Usually. I turn off the display. Great set, yep. Loves to put a neutral on me. Stop before the crossing. Yeah. Right to the other end. Flashback. There's one place where I did not get this straight. But I'm gonna get that now. Put it on my Discord, but not in my Discord. Normally I would never slam it into 8th like that, but no load, so why not? Well, that was a little late. Well, it's not like there's not a train parked on that crossing anyway, right over there, so. Oh. I don't know why I try to whistle. I can never freaking whistle. Got a little chocobo music. And you tightened. That's what I don't want. It's okay. It's easy enough to rectify. Ta-da. And break off. Guess we're in the switching mode of keeping the doors open. See, there's my red lantern over there, which reminded me where I was going because I'm a goldfish. Wait, no. It's the front, yeah. Okay. protecting the shove. It's okay. Well, the cross gates are down anyway. Of course, I had plenty of visibility over this one empty flat car. I could have just stayed in the cab and come in here with a little bit more speed, but I'm not that big of a rush. I don't really need the marker lamp right now. I think. No, I just find out. Yeah, that was silly. I could tell I was going too slow to need to blow any kind of air, but I did it anyway. Oh, good. Alright, that's all we need. We need this car and those three. Beautiful. That's good. That's good. Alright. It's getting kind of dark. Hey, who said you could start rolling? Oh, fourth. Oops. You see? Turn on my main lights. Dark and dreary. Yeah, there comes the rain. I am just starting the framework of making some new freight car skins. Gonna make a set of Missouri Pacific ones. Just looking over the MKT one to figure out where the lettering for the Missouri Pacific one's gonna go. It'll be brown, not red, but I think I'll put the MP here. The numbers will be exactly the same. But I do have that Screaming Eagle logo. I think I'm gonna try to put it here. Either that or move these so they can put it there. Gotta remember it gets repeated on the other side though. See, on this side I could go here, but if I tried that on this side, the freaking brake wheel's in the way. I think I'm gonna try to go like here. I'll have to see what the skin's like. If it's upside down though, that might not be too great. Anyway, it's my OW one. It's my southern one. Okay, now since we're taking everything from this track, I can be lazy and shove forward through here and then throw the switch up at that end and go engine first into the loading track. That is something I don't think to do often enough. Let's go second. And it's starting to rain, so... Oh, it's raining a lot. Let's see. Lightning. Beautiful. Still scares me sometimes in this game because it just gets you. I'm pretty sure that lightning is programmed to be in your face, too. Oh, first thunderstorm in this playthrough. That lightning, man. It's always gonna grab your attention. I didn't blow for any crosses. We'll just cover them all with one. We're already over them. Yeah. Well, there was crossing there that I actually protected. I'm not gonna have military anytime soon. Ah, excuse me. Burpee, burpee. Try to be easy with the brakes because it is raining, so you're gonna slip easy. See? Need the brakes. That would be the wheels slipping. You can use sand to negate that a bit, but I don't think the wheel damage is really that bad. Unless you really skid them a lot. Hmm. Yep, there we go. Well, it's just some empties. It's more than just a few empties now. I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to make me service the engine before I do this next job. Just, I'm sure I probably spent enough fuel or wear and tear just by getting these cars together. But I don't have manual service yet, so it's not like I have to go service it. I just have to pay the fine. It's not a fine. Okay. I think we're probably all on. I put my headlights back. I did. So. Alright, so we don't have concurrent jobs, so we can't do this all at once. Fortunately. Might as well break it now. Oh, this eerie skin for the gondola, and why do I have something that has a skin but no? That looks like default skin, but it's got numbers for some reason. See doodle. Anyway, that's my own W1 that is released. But the Erie one is not released yet. I don't know if I'm gonna make other Erie cars to go with it or what. And then this one, I have a couple of green ones that I made. I don't understand. Oh, that's Lehigh Valley. Okay, I didn't make the Lehigh Valley skin yet, so that's why it's like that. Okay, fine. Work in progress. Oh, okay. There's NYC. Did make this, and it's not. Same thing, I don't know if I'm gonna make other cars to make a big set or what yet. I kinda like the numbers I got for it though. Oh yeah, this crane moves around now. It freaks me out all the time. Makes me think the train's moving. Lehigh Valley. That's it. What else can I show off? That's MKT. Oh, WSL. LNE is the other one that I made that is not released yet. I'm actually pretty happy with how this came out. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make more cars to make packs of each one, or just make a set of gondolas yet. Gondolas, whatever. Okay, gonna start the job, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna make me pay off this. Yep, that's what I thought. Yep, $2,000. Okay. Actually, I will be right back for a minute. Just get to the BRB screen. That. Take off that. I know I haven't done this. On that. My mic. Alright, I'm back. I probably should have ran an ad while I was AFK. I don't know. One of these days I'll remember how to stream. Just 4. Okay, so I paid off my fine. No, did I start the job? Did not start it. Start the job. 159 minutes, and since we already got the empties together, we're gonna get it done in like 10. Okay. Load, and it goes to B4. Still getting used to this thing moving all over the place. That's the next mod I want to see get updated for simulators, cargo swap. That lets you like reskin the containers and the tractors and stuff like that. Guessing that's probably a little more complicated than Skin Manager. Electrics are still on, but the engine's off. That's interesting. Drop these wipers down. Alright. Lights are still that way. B4, oh, that's gonna be over there. What gear am I in? 4th, that's a little high. Toot, 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 toot. Yeah. I'm gonna use my marker light because I might be coupling into more containers, so that will let me easily distinguish what's what. Hey, I didn't even slip the wheels. So you don't have much control with just the angle cock. I think that was pretty good. Tempted to light up my regular lantern, but I don't really need it. Is that 4? 1, 2. Through track is 3. That's 4. Yeah, see, we're hooking up to more containers, so now that red lantern will hopefully make it easy for me to figure out where I gotta tie the air hoses together. 2:30. Today's Saturday. It's probably a pretty terrible day to stream on, but whatever. I'm just trying to get myself back into the hang of streaming. Just to get into the habit of doing it more than anything else. Figure if I'm playing the game anyway, might as well stream it. I don't really need that red light there because I'm going to ride the cut back anyway, so whatever. It's all about getting myself into certain habits, and maybe later on this will be more useful, so get into the habit of doing it now. I could have put a little more power on, but whatever. They gave us like 100 and whatever minutes to do this. Mic's on, right? Yeah. Just a random check. I have it set up so that I can alt tab without the game pausing because situations like this where you're just creeping along anyway. So a couple of notifications on Facebook, but it was nothing. I was pretty sure it was nothing. The thing I gotta worry about is messages usually. Keep moving. We're almost there. Guess there's room. Not much. Yeah. Keep rolling. Yep, just flatten those wheels right on out. That's gonna barely fit. Okay, I think I can take this back for now. Well, no, it's gonna fit because they give you until all the way up here. I always think that I need to fit it in the crossing, but this yard does not work like that. Okay, yeah, I gotta come in with 2 cars. I'm still not good at gauging car lengths. Like, what I should do is pick a spot on the ground ahead of me that's 2 carts ahead of me, and then say, get to the front of the engine to there. Instead, I'm always trying to do this and look at when I'm the spot that I need to do, which is not the right way to do it. Because I'm not good at gauging car lengths because I was never an engineer. I was a brakeman though, so I did have to say, 1 more car, 2 more cars, stuff like that. But I always overestimated. Like there was probably room for 2 or 3 cars, and I'd say 1. I was always super cautious. Switch the headlights up, did I? And this is set that I just parked. I'm gonna put on 2 handbrakes. I know technically I only need one for this game to be happy, but if it looks like it needs more than one handbrake, then I'm gonna put on one. I as well park up at the empty gondolas. Not like I'm in any rush to turn this job. Those wipers should probably be on. Oh. Get myself confused every once in a while. I don't want to go so slow, I gotta go up to that switch. You can see how much the engine just slows you down even if you don't have the engine. Why are we running? Okay, that should be done. Yes. Good. 14 minutes and I was slow. How much was that? Could never see it on the money. 10,260. Nice. It's ready to go. I want to put it in slot 7 because I'm kind of anal. This one at all. Oh yeah, the empty's already. Yeah, this one's not worth much, but whatever. E5. It's only 3 cars. And they were all on the same track to start with. Is that the only unload job I have? And that I brought in? I think so. Beat the crane. Get out of the way, please. Unload a drain. I go over the other yard. I don't know why. It's no, doesn't really matter. Now these gondolas, without having the dash ability, are very hard to get on, to like jump up on and stuff. So you gotta be careful. Keep rolling. That's why I put the brakes on though, because I'm paranoid about them running away from me, because it's just really hard to jump on these. See? There's nothing you can jump on. There is like that little bitty ledge there, but you can't jump on it. Like you should be able to, and jumping on the coupler doesn't work. Yep, you can't jump. Yep. They need to implement ladders. Grab irons and stuff like that. Though these cars don't really have anything that you would grab onto also. All they have is this dinky little ledge. Yeah, you can't. If I could dash, I would be able to dash right onto this little ledge and stand there, but you can't dash, you can't do that. Let's just keep going in 9 instead of need to lock it in this slot. Yeah, there really isn't anything to grab onto of these cars. Usually I complain about the game not letting us grab onto ladders, but there's no ladders on these things. It's no like one little loop to put a foot in and a handle. Nothing. That's dangerous. Okay, we're going to 5 this time. I'll get it rolling slowly, then I'll have to run up and throw a switch. can do, maybe, yeah, get on top of it from the engine. Not that that's all that realistic. I just run across the top of all this nice sharp scrap metal. Then can I stand there? No, not really. I guess I could have stayed on the coupler, but I was trying to stand on that little ledge, but you can't. Okay. That's 4, so we need to go. Oh, the rain stopped. Rails will still be wet for a little while, but the rain stopped. So why does the crossing padding on these two tracks go all the way? I guess because of the switch point. It's a little funny. Stand on the coupler if I come from the top down. But I can't stand on this little ledge anywhere else. Of course, this is extremely unsafe to stand right in the middle, front of the shove here, because if you fell, you just get instantly run over. But you know, if the train was going the other way, you'd be allowed to stand here. Beautiful. Okay, about a car and a half. Still got a bad habit in this game. Doing something that you'd never do in real life and popping the hose by hand. You'd never do that because you end up with just a face full of dirt from the ground because the air blasts down on the ground. You always have to pull the pin to uncouple the cars, turn your back to it when the cars are being pulled apart, and let the hose get pulled apart on its own. You never try to open it up on your own hands. If you ever run into a situation where you do have to get the hoses apart when they're pressurized, then you have to very carefully grab the two hoses and just twist them a little bit and let the air very slowly leak out. think I had to do that once for some reason, and you know the experience or wrong one. The experienced conductor was right with me, showing me how to do it. My trainer, because yeah, that could get real dangerous if you don't do it the right way. A lot of pressure in those hoses. Okay. That track's open. Okay, all we got left is the unload job, right? But let's work that from the other end. So it doesn't really matter which end we work it from. Okay, okay, okay. So, got the lights forward. Yeah, that track's empty, right? That's probably where the empties are going to go, because all the empties are going on one track, and this track is completely open. This one, well, that one's open too. We'll find out. It's not going to be able to go on C2, I don't think. There's not enough room. Wish I had a bell. This thing should really have a bell. This in the DE2. Gonna clear up here? Should be able to clear it, barely. Yeah, that's a tight squeeze. Because I barely made it up to the sign on the other end. Did I set the handbrake on the freaking gondola? I don't remember. Back it up. Don't remember if I set the handbrake. I guess it's a little bit faster to come back and check than it would be to run up to the station, try to turn it in, get a little zap zap, and then have to run back and tie the handbrake on. What am I doing? Seventh. Why the wheels slide really easy. It's wet. So did I tie it down? Yep, I did. I just did it without even thinking about it. Okay. I had a feeling I did, but I just didn't want to walk all the way back and then... Nope, you did that trying to get on a handbrake. What do I know? Don't give me that crap. We don't even have any weight. That dropped all the way. You know, let's just set up with the next one. It'll give me so much time anyway. Still have a bit of a habit to just, as soon as I finish a job, just instantly park and run back to the station to get my payout as soon as possible. But between them giving us so much more time to do a job, which is unrealistic anyway, which is good because, you know, you can't dash around and stuff, so they should give me more time. In my case, I can't dash at all, so I can't really kick cars or anything like that either. So, a situation like this, instead of running all the way back to the station to get paid just to go back and then still move the engine again, it's better off just get yourself set up for the next one and then go get paid. Got plenty of time. I did that already. Wow, I'm doing that without even thinking about it. Good. That's not the throttle. I said I was going to get set up for the next one, and then I didn't set up for the next one. I just kind of backed up aimlessly. Good job. Angry switching. Angry switching. That was supposed to be 222, but it didn't really work out that way. Nothing. Oh, we were going slow enough anyway. I thought it was an experiment to see. Basically, if you don't have enough revs, if you're not revving the engine high, this engine brake is not going to do much of anything, which makes sense. Stay on. I gotta fix that. Still can't see where the buffers go. Alright, set two handbrakes. I did not. Oh, good. The tankers are fixed. I was getting like this little stub of the buffer sticking out before. It's gone now. Hey. Yeah, this one I'm gonna back up to the switch and then pull straight in to the loading track. It's just a little easier to do that than having to go forward and then run it back to the end of the train to throw the switch and come back. Run back up to the head end and back up. So if you can go through like that, then it's easier. Okay, this turns in. Good. 69. Nice. We are at 41,000. Nice. I still haven't looked in the roundhouse to see what's sitting there yet. Um, I just thought of something. Yep. The job sheet for this next unload job. It's in the cab. Kinda had a feeling I was gonna forget about that. I did. No, you didn't put it on 7? Why did you put it on 9? There's nothing locked to 7, right? 7. Why? Why won't you go on 7? So, well, it's starting to get dark, but not that dark yet. And this is going to be super simple, just drop the whole string off on one track, so... do it now. It's not worth much because it's super simple, but... Really? C2? That's the one storage track I didn't think it would make me put it on because there are a bunch of boxcars sitting there. Actually, I could have got this on the loading track before I started the job, but thinking was so much time. We're gonna have to squeeze it onto C2. That's funny. Okay. B1 and B6 are completely empty, but no, squeeze it in there with the boxcars. Oh. Right, I'm not on loading track yet. What? Now we got some weight to move around. That's what we came in here with. It's pretty heavy. Oh, you don't like 4th? That's what I thought was going to happen. Deal with it. I didn't blow for the crossing. I can blow for the next one. Hey, we got our lantern. Oh, where's my... Okay. It's kind of a little worried for a second. So I guess I can turn this off. We're not even using it. Save the kerosene. Not that that's really a thing, but you know. Okay, I almost ran up to the stations to start the job, but I already started it. Okay, so C2. Yep. So we're gonna have to shove all these boxcars back. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. There's two, though, isn't there? Keep rolling. Here. Ah, made it. It's under the spotlights. Indecisions. Red Bear Special. Alright, I like to turn off the cab light and put the lantern in here. God damn it, that was not the throttle. I think I might get one more regular lantern, actually. So I could have one that I carry around and one that I just keep in the engine. They're not that expensive, I think. Only like 1,000 or something. Shit, this game is not that expensive. Yeah, it was on this end. Is all this the same thing? Yeah, I think it is. What is this, logistical hall? Yep. Can't do that yet. Guess that's gonna be next on my menu besides the 060 is logistical halls. You can actually make a lot with that. I think you need concurrent one for it too. Any new license that I pick up besides the 060, I'm also gonna need manual service because once my copay goes up at all, what it is, it's not gonna be worth it to not do manual service anymore. Started that in third. I think this is gonna barely squeeze in here. So. That too, since we're hooked up to those box. I didn't see those box cars for a split second. I thought I didn't hook them up right and like kicked them and they were rolling down the main line somewhere. No, they're right there. It's fine. It's fine. I guess I'll shut the engine down because I will go to sleep after this job. In game. That's why I can't find the handbrake. It's behind the door. Alright. Why am I tired? I slept, damn it. $12 minutes. That was with having to move the cars to loaded track after I started it. Of course, I only had to park them one track over. 53,000, nice. So now that I have 53,000 in my license in my wallet, let's see what my fee tolerance is. It was like 5,000 before, now it's 8,000. See, it's a percentage of how much you have in the wallet. So now I can be up to 8,000 in quote unquote debt before I'm forced to pay something off. How much am I in debt now? 2,800, nice. Of course, the one little annoying thing about that is it costs twice as much here to service than it does at the service, manually. So when this thing says that I'm $10,000 in debt, I'm really only 5,000 in debt if I serviced manually. So when it says, "Oh, fee tolerance 8,000 and you're 10,000 in debt," I'm really only 5,000 in debt if I serviced manually. But that's just the way it works. It is late enough for me to sleep and get through the night. I'm gonna sleep in the bed again, just like him. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so there wasn't anything else in the store here that I wanted to buy. There wasn't any keys. I guess the keys are both food. Food factory, I think, is the key for the hand cart, which I actually really. And then City Southwest should be the key for the caboose. And the boombox is in City Southwest. Okay. Let's make a little trip over to the roundhouse because there's no more switching to do here. Empty containers. I hate empty containers because, I mean, they're lightweight, but they're not worth squat. That was a pretty long train. It's only going to be worth 10,000. I mean, I'm right here, so I might as well run into the shop and make sure there's nothing else I want to buy. I guess maybe one more lantern, right? I was saying that. One more lantern that I just keep in the engine. And then when I get the caboose, I might get a third one. Just keep that one in the caboose because there's no lighting in the caboose. I keep a backup lighter in the caboose too because they're cheap. But regular lanterns, 2,000. It's also the locomotive remote, but that only works for the DE2 and the DH4, I believe. I don't know why that doesn't work for the DE6 anymore. That it's a diesel electric. It should work with the remote. That seems a little silly to me. Yeah, get one more lantern. 2,000 isn't that bad, I guess. But I don't think I'm gonna get that remote because I've already got the DM3, which doesn't use the remote because it's diesel mechanical. You can't shift gears remotely. And so I've already got the DM3, which means I'm probably going to barely ever touch the DE2 anymore. Although, if I find a 060 that I want to run, then I'll be leaving the DM3 behind, then I might end up being the DE2. But still, I don't really use the remote much. Oh, that's the big steam engine. Hey, Missouri Pacific. Here's the Southern Green steam engine, but not the crescent with the crescent. It's just plain green. I made that. Oops. Oh no, I fell in the pit. Uh-oh. Got a crouch jump to get out of there. Okay, Missouri Pacific. While I'm looking at that DE6, I'm not going to be able to touch that for a long time. There are two DE2s there, which would make you think about getting MU. And then just another DE6. Well, screw you guys. I was kind of hoping sometimes I think the little 060 can spawn here. But it did not. Okay, so we have 51,000. The steam engine is only 50,000, but I think you need concurrent one, maybe concurrent two, I think. So it's really like 60 or 70,000. Let's see what we got here then. This is the extra lantern. That's the one that goes in the engine. So I can actually put that there. Okay, food. I do want to go to Food Factory. It's only 170 tons. So I do want to go to Food Factory to get the key for the hand cart. Yeah, maybe I'll get concurrent one so I can put those two together. Steel mill. Oh, it's another Food Factory. Oh, forget about that one. Oh, that's empty, so that's gonna need concurrent one and logistical haul, but it's worth it. Look, it's worth 12,000. The loads are only worth 10 because they're empty containers. Uh, Empty containers all the way harbor. No, that's really a waste. Empty, look, empty cars. The goods factory is worth more than empty containers. Remember. And then we've got those empty containers. All right, food factory it is, and we can either take these two and just get concurrent jobs, or buy concurrent jobs and logistical home and take these two, which I think is what I want to do. Yeah, that's the set of box cars that we just buried with flat cars. Yeah. It's not that big a deal. I can scrap from that and stick it on the end of the empty containers, I guess. Let's see. So fees. Once I pay off my fees, see, we're gonna do a little thinking here. Not gonna pay it off yet because I still gotta put the train together. Let's see. It's manual service is 20. Let's see. As soon as I buy current one, that adds 4,000 more to my copa. Okay, so if I want to add concurrent one, I need annual service. So that means annual service was 20. Concurrent one is what, 10? And then logistical haul is another 20. Logistical haul needs concurrent one. Yes. Okay. So 20, 40, 50,000, I can get manual service, logistical haul, and concurrent one. That's all of my money. I am not going to be able to swing that because I'm going to have to pay the $2,000 copay. Okay, so we're only going to get concurrent one and manual service. So we'll have to take the 2 sets of containers. All right. Okay. That page 73, that page 55. I wonder if that's 2 sets of containers that I already smushed together for my loading jobs. Let's find out. $73. It's the other 155. Thing we're gonna do is set handbrakes on that end. Let me preemptively set the handbrake on this end. Hoping that it's all the same thing. I mean, it might be 73 is here, and 55 is that one. It's actually this 55. Yeah. Okay. Oh well. It's still pretty easy. Two. Could have counted the cars, but you know, decided to do it the harder way. Actually, keep this undone because I'm gonna shove into it. I don't want that to lock back together. I think there's, well, we'll set a handbrake here too. I think there was already a handbrake on the other end, but. And this is my 55. Let's figure out the 55 too. 55 is a long one. That's probably that whole thing. Okay. That's got the handbrake on the other end. This is where the hand cart would come in handy, zipping up and down this little line. It's so useful. Well, we're going to Food Factory next, so that means I get the key for the handcart. And the handcart is just north of here, so then we've got to come back over this direction to get the handcart. Unlock it. Okay. That's ready to pick up. Now let me guess. The shadows are getting long. It's gonna be dark when I leave town. Didn't I just sleep though? Maybe not. I feel like I didn't spend too much time running, just walking around the yard and stuff. I don't want to look at that. I know I don't want it. Okay. Gonna pick this up first. Then that. And I don't even have to turn the engine around. Nice. Okay, I did lock this down. Good. Cab light back. During the day, having the cab light on is fine. It's at nighttime. Makes it too bright in here versus the darkness outside. Hurry to get. No, the handbrakes. Nobody took it off on that end. Yada yada. Think I'm gonna back out to the main and then pull forward through the loading track. That way, the next time I come into Machine Factory, actually, I'd like to come in, go through the input track. That way, next time I come through the Machine Factory, the default will be the input track. Okay. One little problem about this is I'm gonna be backing it down that hill and then have to go straight back up the hill, but it's not that heavy. It's only, yeah, it's like 270. You can handle it, I think. The other thing I could do is pull straight forward and then back, but I just don't want to leave town from this track and then have it left that way. But actually, I can just leave town slowly and run to the back and throw the switch, I guess. It's just with the rain, either way I go, I don't think there's much of a hill if I go forward and back. Never mind. So, I had to think it out aloud for some reason. Really? Lightning in the distance and there's not enough water on the windshield to not be noisy? Okay. That's interesting. Still starting in third gear. No handbrakes, right? Yeah, we're rolling easy. Okay. Don't leave the cab while the engine's got the throttles on. It's a good way to have a disaster. Something crazy eights. I think we might get the train together and maybe stop the stream. It's been, I think it hit 3 hours, right? Yeah, 3:15. I'm being bad. I'm not crossings. I might stop the stream soon and then later on, maybe after dinner, I might even stream again if nobody else is streaming. I don't know. Probably not. Right, somebody else to watch and then I will stream. We'll see. But we got a lot of work done. We did even a little bit more switching in steel mill, I think, and then we ran here. And then we've been switching out here. Slow and steady. Okay, I don't have to go all the way out to the main. That's right. Do I? Oh, Jesus. Well, by the time I get to the end of the train... Oh, boy. This is interesting, all that crazy lightning, and it's like, I don't even think it's raining. I mean, that does happen in real life sometimes, if the storm's too far away. You can see all the crazy lightning, although the lightning's not usually that good. But it's in the distance like that. Is this the main? Oh god. That was scary. Ugh. I think sometimes having it always run kind of screws me over. Okay, this is the main passenger yard. I guess that's a decent way to leave the switches thrown too. Oh, and by the way, I do believe I have the extended station range mod. I do believe, pretty sure that got updated for simulator. So I'm not as worried about doing like what I just did and run way down here to throw the switch without accepting the jobs yet. Because if I didn't have expanded station range and I didn't start the jobs yet, and I was all the way down here, that might be far enough to stop. That might be far enough to reset all the jobs, which would really suck if you put all this train together, about to leave town, and then you try to start the job and it's like, nope, it's expired, because you went too far away from the station. But I'm pretty sure I have expanded station range, which should let me do what I'm doing. So, yeah, the head end of the train got pretty far to it because it's downhill. See. First or second. Yeah, I blew all the air, so it's gonna take a bit. There it goes. Okay. Stop. Catch it. Yeah, it's not that heavy. It's a very long train, but it's not heavy. Ah, yeah, visibility. We don't need that. That's pretty. What I meant to do was only get ahead of that switch down there, and then back through the loading track, or the input track, but I overdid it. Ended up on the main, which is, this is fine too. This is really the correct through way to go, like if you want to just blitz through the whole yard. Actually, if you don't want to stop the machine factory at all, you would take the route that goes to the west side of the machine factory that goes around it and doesn't have the big hill getting up and over to the machine factory. That's how, if you're coming from the iron mine west, you can do like 1,000 tons with the steam engine because you can take that route that bypasses machine factory. And there's not much of a hill that way. I've done like 12 or 1,300 tons, I think, doing that because it's all downhill. Okay. So we'll shut off the engine because it's going to do that when I pay off my fees anyway. Set a handbrake. Set a handbrake on the train too. Okay, there's the station office. Yeah, I parked in just the right spot. I'm gonna put an end to train device on the end of the train. I guess if it, the only reason why I don't want to is because with the knuckle couplers, I can't hang it off the coupler like you're supposed to be able to with the vanilla chain, hook and chain couplers. You can hang the end of train device, which is what this lantern, this red lantern is. So you can hang that off the coupler, but with the knuckle couplers, you can't. But I can just set it down on the end of this flat car, and I think it'll stay. I've done that with the caboose a few times. I just kind of sat it down on the end of the caboose, and I thought for sure it would fly off somewhere, and I'd have to find it lost and found, and it stayed. So I have a feeling it'll stay with this too. So just for aesthetics, I suppose. Extra safety. This. Put it there. Let's see if it stays. If it doesn't, it should end up lost and found. Is that cranked up? Yeah, it is. This belongs to the locomotive. It's a long train. It's all empties. Well, empty containers, which is technically loads. That's how we get around not needing logistical haul. Alright, so no more of this just paying off our fees at the machine willy-nilly. Now we have to manually service well after I pay it off this time. It's the last time I get to just pay a nice easy $2,000 copay. Because now I am going to buy manual service. And I'm buying that because I'm also going to buy concurrent jobs. Wow, manual service adds 7,000 copay. But I'm doing that because I'm doing concurrent one. Concurrent one bumps up the copay pretty good to 4,000. Okay. So I have logistical all yet, but I have not logistical haul yet, but I have concurrent. So I can do these two jobs that I have hooked up. It's only gonna be 16,000, but food factory's not that crazy far. I do have to take. Well, we do have an option. It's a silly option, but it probably would actually be faster. Is we could back down south out of machine factory here and go way down. I don't see the little white dot cursor. It's the one thing we lost. Oh, okay, you can do this at least. Alright, so we're here. We're facing north with the whole big long train in the passenger yard. We're set up to go this way through Iron Mine West and over to Food Factory. But if we were to back down to here, throw the switch, we could go this way, which is pretty good shortcut. Usually I use the shortcut between City Southwest and Food Factory. That's really what it's designed for. The problem with that, though, first off, we got to go backwards through this section, which really isn't that big of a deal. The speed limit's like 60 or 70 or something like that. This train doesn't go that fast, so it's fine. But the other problem is you have to stop here, throw the switch, and then go forward. If I remember correctly, before each one of these switches on this main, it's a pretty good hill. Like, there's a pretty good hill right here. There's a pretty good hill right here. There's a pretty good hill right here. So I'd have to stop on the hill and then start back up. I think my train is light enough. Yeah, it's only like, what, 270? Something like that, 260, 270. I can probably stop on that hill and then start back up without much of a problem. The other downside, though, of backing down and going that way is I'm going to end up leaving that switch turned for that way, and the next time I try to come up to the machine factory, that switch is going to be wrong. And that would suck, because then I might be coming up that hill from City Southwest with something heavy, and then I have to stop to throw the switch and try to start again. So, and I'm sure they're giving me plenty of time. Well, actually, 84 minutes. It's decent, but it's not like 100 and something minutes. It's funny how much long they give you for shunting versus freight hauls. But I'm sure I could make that northern route 84 minutes. Just the northern route is a little bit slower because it's more mountainous. There's a bunch of fours, different spots for the speed limits. But I think I might as well just go that way, go through Iron Mine. Actually, if I see the freaking little 060 in the Iron Mine, I try to grab it. The problem with that, though, is the spur that the locomotive spawns on in the Iron Mine is a little stub spur off of the turntable. So I can't like just back up the train and hook up the 060 and drag it with me. I would have to actually fire it up and drive it over the turntable and hook it up to the train. That'd be a little annoying. And I would have to spend money to service the train so that I could buy the license for the 060 just so that I could fire it up and take the brakes off and stuff. Even if I wanted to just drag it, I would have to get the license because I'd have to get into the cab to turn the brake off, release the brakes. Oh, actually, no, you wouldn't, because they added. Oh, there's a handbrake though. Yeah. Because they did add to all the cars and the locomotives. I'll show you. I'm not going to pull it, but I'll show you. It's only on one side. I almost never use it, so I don't really have a good idea of where it is up there. But they added a bleed valve. It's around somewhere. It's a little red handle. Just gonna show it off. It's an example, but now I can't freaking find it. That's the handbrake. You're just gonna have to trust me. There's a little red handle you can pull. Oh, see it? Is it that close to the car? Oh, I was just highlighting that. That's coupler. How is it? It's not showing up. Sometimes it's usually just with like the brake hoses and stuff. Sometimes there's a little bug where the brake hoses aren't there and you have to kind of run away from the car and come back and then it's there. I don't think that happens with the bleed valve though. I think I'm just being blind. I should be highlighting it when I hover over it though. Anyway, they added a little red bleed valve to each car and each locomotive. What that does is, I don't know if you guys know how air brakes work, but when you blow the air, dump the air to throw the train into emergency, which is what you do anytime you unhook the cars and whatnot. What that does is it actually dumps air from a reserve tank on each locomotive, on each car and locomotive. Like there's a tank right there. It dumps the air against the brake valve and clamps the brakes down. That way it kind of works in reverse. That way it's fail safe, you know. If the hose comes apart, you dump the air and it locks on the brakes. It's safe that way. Anyway, so if the brakes are locked on, the only way to get the brakes off is usually to charge them back up with air, and that's what releases them. However, there's also a little bleed valve. I believe I can't find the bleed valve. Look at that over here. There's a little bleed valve, and when you pull the bleed valve, you manually, slowly, in real life it's very slow, in this game it's instant, but it's really, you gotta pull the bleed valve and hold it for a while to bleed the air out. You bleed the air out slowly, and that will release the brakes, just as if you were pumping them up with the locomotive. It's more flat cars. This is a bleed valve. So basically what you can do with the bleed valve is you can release the brakes without hooking up and waiting for the air to pump up, which is useful in shunting if you have like one or two cars. You just got to move from one track to the other and you want to have to wait for the air to pump up. You can just yank on the bleed valve and off you go. Of course, like I said, in real life it takes a while. You have to pull on that bleed valve and hold it for a while to, there it is. It's like that. I'm not going to actually do it because it'll bleed the air out. Oh, like the brake. Handbrakes like that. Like that. Oh, there's no air in there anyway. But that would bleed the air out. and lock the brakes and release the brakes. I mean, because it bleeds it out slowly. But as you can see, when I just yanked on this one, there's no air in there. That's because over time, the air leaks out of the system. The system is not 100% airtight. It's the air tanks in this one. So eventually, this is why you need handbrakes. Eventually, the air will leak out of each car. And when the air leaks out of the car, the brakes release. And if you don't have enough handbrakes clamped down and the air bleeds out, then the cars can just start rolling. And that's what happened. I'm not going to pronounce this right because it's French, but up in Canada, La Magnate or something like that. It's like magnet, but French. Anyway, they had a big crude oil train parked up on a hill, which is bad to begin with, but they had the engine running and the automatic brakes locked on, and with the engine running, it can. Now, this is something I don't quite understand, but with the engine running, it can keep replenishing the air to keep the brakes locked on, which I didn't think it really worked like that, but I guess it does. Maybe it's always in the lap. I don't know. But it keeps the brakes locked on with the engine running. So they set like, this was a pretty long oil tanker train. They set like 2 or 3 handbrakes, nowhere near enough handbrakes. Something like that, maybe more than that, maybe it was more, I don't know the details, but they didn't set anywhere near enough handbrakes. Because they said, well, we don't have to set handbrakes, the engine's running, it'll keep keep the air pumped up, it'll keep the brakes on. Well, unfortunately, while nobody was in the train, this is the other really big problem. You can't just leave a train unattended like that with the engine running. I mean, you kind of can because you can take off the reverser lever and the throttle lever so that nobody can tamper with it. But still, it's not a good idea to have nobody in the locomotive with the engine running with I don't know how many thousands of more of tons of oil behind you. And so one of the engines malfunctioned and caught fire, I believe. Or it could have been like an oil leak that caught fire or something like that. Anyway, the fire department got called. They went to the train. They put out the fire, which is good. That's the fire department's supposed to do. And then I'm not sure if the engine shut down on its own or somebody shut it down because it was on fire, which I guess is understandable. But anyway, the point is the engines got shut down. And nobody went and checked out the train and locked down more handbrakes because now the air is not getting replenished. And nobody went to the train and stood guard or anything. It was just, we'll leave it there for the weekend or something. Well, the air bled out of the cars because the engines were shut off. Not enough handbrakes, and the whole train went rolling down the hill into the town of La Magnoc, however it's pronounced up in Canada, and wiped out pretty much the whole town because you have I don't know how many thousands of gallons of crude oil, which is very flammable and explosive. And it was just a giant bomb that just rolled into town and derailed on the curve. There was a tight curve that went around the town, and it just wiped out like half the town. It was pretty terrible. That's what happens when you don't lock down enough handbrakes. So yeah, I don't know why I went through that whole story, but I guess I started talking about it and then I kept going. Anywho, what time is it? It's 4 o'clock. A little after 4. I've been streaming for 3.5 hours. I think I'm gonna stop. Speak now or forever hold your peace, I guess. How much money do I have? 19. I still have 19,000. If it was just a little bit more, I could have gotten logistical haul too, and gotten a little bit better of a payday because this little set of boxcars are worth more than the containers that we took. But whatever. Actually, I'm going to start this job before I stop the stream. Otherwise, the job sheets will be back on the table. I'll have to dig them out again. D2, D2I. No way all of it's going to go to D2I. It's not going to fit. It's C4I. Whatever. Is the short set the first set or the long set? The short set. We'll figure it out next time. Actually, that I can figure out now before I stop. Which set's in the front? But yeah. Yeah, I've been going for like 3.5 hours, and I think I got a sandwich waiting for me and stuff, so I think I'm gonna stop streaming for now. 007. Really? 007? Okay. Oh, now you can do that. Okay, good. 007. Okay, yes. D2I is the first set. Then it goes C4. So that's a little annoying. I think I'll pull into D2I. Well, D4I or C4I. I mean, will be empty. The input tracks, even if you're only bringing in like 3 cars, the input track will be empty. They at least do that for you. So I think I'll come into C4 and then cut the train off, cut off the first, what is that, 5 cars to go to D2, and pull forward and back into D2. That's probably the plan there. Okay. Anywho, I think this is a good spot to stop. Save the game. Next time, I'll easily have enough money to buy the 060. The problem's just going to be finding it. We might even go on a little non-paid adventure to let's like go to some industry place and haul something. Try to find the 060 and do some other kinds of jobs because I kind of wish I understand why the system's the way it is, but I kind of wish it was aimed more towards starting out with the small industry places like the 2 logging camps and the mines and stuff like that. But I guess the mines are a bit later game because usually it's a ton of ore that you gotta haul with the big steam engine. But the farm and the logging camps, it's just not worth much to haul stuff out of there. So everybody just skips it. You're already starting in the steel mill, so if you can make decent amount of money just grabbing like 3-4 cars of rails and running down to the harbor and then doing all sorts of stuff in the harbor, you're not going to bother messing around with the farm and the logging camps and the sawmill. And that's a little unfortunate because then those areas never get really used much. So I'm gonna, since this is a playthrough on stream and stuff, after I go to Food Factory, I think I'm gonna make a point to start to go to some kind of industry. Hopefully there'll be some like empties that need to go to sawmill. That'd be nice. Or I'll just run light, which is the locomotive, backed up Iron Mine West, and then haul some. There'll be some iron that I can haul out of there, I'm sure. Look for the 060. I think that's the closest industry to Food Factory. Or from Food Factory, maybe we'll be able to take some empties down to the farm. That would make sense. And then from the farm, we could switch out the farm, and then we could run up to the forest. Could do that. But that'll be next time. Because I think I'm about done. 3.5 hours or so. Alright. Let me go to the ending screen. Saved. Yeah. Okay, we're not BRB anymore. I know how to stream, I swear. I think. Nope, the stream's not starting. The stream's ending. Alright. Well, I had fun working on the railroad anyway, and if anybody was there, I hope they had fun watching. I'll see you guys around next time. Later.